Hey guys, welcome to another day, another project. Today is February 1st. We are starting week 6, I believe, on the grower's calendar, and I have more seeds to start. Today I'm starting stock, Gomphrena, and some dahlias by seed. Before I get started, I'll introduce myself. My name is Christina. I garden in Zone 7, South Central Kansas. I own a licensed backyard nursery, which next year I plan on starting or offering cut flower starts at market. So some of these starts that I'm starting today will be for me, and then some of them will be for customers at market. The first variety I'll be starting is stock. I'll have two varieties that I'll be starting. One is the Iron Apricot. This is the 1.5 to 2 inch creamy peach blooms. And the other one will be the Iron Rose, which has the dark rose red blooms. I thought those both are really pretty, and stock is a semi-hardy annual, which means it actually can tolerate some light frost. And so I plan on hopefully having these ready by the first week of April. Our average last frost date is April 15th. I might even, if I can have them ready a little bit earlier, I would love to do so, but our first market date is April 1st, and so I want to have these ready to go. Next, I'll be starting Gomphrena Ping Pong Mix. This is a mix of lavender, purple, and white flowers. Really great for cut flower as a filler for your cut flower arrangements. All right. Last, I'll be starting dahlias. Now dahlias can be started from seed, or you can have tubers. Oftentimes, if you start something from seed, a dahlia from seed, it will form a tuber by the end of the season. And I started some of these dahlias last year, and I did save some of the tubers, and I have them pre-sprouting. And I've also bought tubers that I plan on taking cuttings off of. I'm trying to pre-sprout those. And so once those start sprouting, I'll take cuttings, and then I'll also have more dahlias available. So I'm excited about that. But today's dahlias will be the giant hybrid mix from Johnny's. This does have a mix of double, semi-double, and single blooms in a variety of colors from salmon, coral, white, light yellow, red, and lavender. And so I'll be starting these in a 72 count tray. I'm a little bit early to start these, but I want to have them grown out a little bit bigger for plant sales in the spring. So first we'll be starting stock, and I'll be sowing these into these 12, it's called 1206s. There's 12 6-pack per tray. So it ends up being 72 cells in a tray. And I'll be sowing these because I hope to sell these directly. So I'm going to sow in the same plant, or in the same pot I plan on selling them. Let me go ahead and I will fill all of these with a germination mix. And I just put these 1206s into either a tray, a flat tray, either one of these, or you could always use a flat tray just like this. I'm going to do 2 trays of apricot and 1 of Iron Rose. So I'll do these 2 apricots since they're both in the same style of tray, and then I'll do this one in Iron Rose. As always, I like to find a culture guide because it has more information. By reading through the culture guide, it says germination temperature according to this 68 to 72. Johnny's has 65 to 75. So a little bit of a wider range. Germination is 7 to 14 days. That's a little bit longer than most, but it does say sow 1/4 inch deep into 128 cell plug flats or preferred seedling container 5 to 6 weeks before last frost. Okay, so 68 to 72 degrees or 65 to 75. I'm thinking I might not actually put these on a heat mat because the nighttime temperatures do get cooler than that. But during the day with the heat mat, it can get hotter than that, I think. So I am going to, as soon as they germinate, they want 60 to 70 degrees, which is even 60 to 70 degrees, which would be no heat mat, but I don't think I'm going to do a heat mat for these. I think if anything, I'll just have a slower germination rate, but I'll feel more comfortable them not getting too hot during the day, because a day like this where it's 50 degrees outside, it was getting over 80 in there. So I had to turn my fan thermostat down a little bit. So anyway, okay, so let me go ahead and we'll start with the apricot. So a 1/4 inch deep. All right, let's see what these seeds look like here. Oh. Okay, so that's what, ooh, I'm not sure you can see that, but that's what the seeds look like. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to just dibble a hole, just barely, in each of these cells. And then we'll just drop our seeds in. Now I'm just sowing 1 seed per cell, but I might sow a couple, I think for each 6-pack, also 2 seeds per cell. The germination rate is 94%, which is pretty good. So, but I do want to have extra seedlings just in case. All right, do the same thing for this one. Okay, so I forgot I actually only had 50 seeds of the iron rose stock, so not a problem. I just went ahead and took off those extra cell packs and have my labels. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put these 3 right here, and I will go ahead and water these in, put a humidity dome on them, and then stick them in the grow room, and then we can move on to the next ones. I have to make more room in here. I'm outgrowing my space. But let me see if you can see. Got all my willows moved out of the misting bed because they are all leafing out, and I've got everything else growing. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on our Gomphrena. Okay, next is Gomphrena. This is the Ping Pong mix, and like I said earlier, it's a mix of lavender, pinks, purples, whites. I think it's really pretty. I like mixes because you get a variety of flower colors in one 6-pack is how I plan on selling these. I'm gonna have two 128 count trays of these because I'll be selling them in 6-packs. So Gomphrena is a warm season annual, and it wants a germination temperature of 77 degrees. So I will use a heat mat and I will use a humidity dome like I normally do when I'm germinating. Now these are these pelleted? I'm not sure. Let's see what these seeds look like. Oh, these are not pelleted. I wasn't sure. This is what this Gomphrena seeds look like. Nice, okay. And I'm just pressing them down just to kind of set them in the soil so they don't bounce away. All right, I'm gonna go put those in the grow room real quick and I'll be right back. I stuck those two trays in the grow room. I ran out of humidity dome, so I will go inside and get plastic wrap and just cover them with plastic wrap until they germinate. Let me clean up my mess here and we'll get started on the dahlia. Okay, last thing is the dahlias. Now the dahlias, again, it's a giant hybrid mix from Johnny's. So I'm only gonna do one 72 count tray for the dahlias. And for those of you who didn't know, I didn't know this. I just thought dahlias were really pretty, but they actually, the flowers are edible. So anyway, I have some seeds left over from last year. I'm going to use up those first. It does say germination 77% on these. And then on the seeds I got for this year, it says germination 71 plus 6% overpack, which I assume means 71% germination. So they give you 6% extra in seeds, I think. I don't know if that's what that means or not, but either way, I'm gonna only do one 72 count tray because I have dahlias coming from other sources. So the one 72 count tray, I'm gonna do 2 seeds per cell because I wanna make sure the germination isn't as great. So let me get this tray filled up. Ooh. Dahlia seeds are, look how big they are. If you can see them. They're huge. Okay, so I forget. It says sow 4 to 5 weeks before last frost. You cover seed with growing medium and keep soil surface moist until emergence. Then when seedlings have true leaves, you transplant into larger cell packs. And you do not want to let these plants become root bound because they don't like their roots being disturbed. So germination will happen after 3 to 5 days at 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Using a heat mat will help maintain even temperatures. So I will use a heat mat for these. What I'll do, I don't always do this, but if I take a 72 count tray and just press it in, then it creates these little divots that I can put my seeds in, and then we'll cover them with potting soil. Okay, so now that I have this done, I'm gonna go ahead and give these a mist, and then I'm going to stick them on the heat mat. Again, I ran out of humidity domes, so I'm gonna have to go get some plastic wrap out of the house, and I will cover a layer of plastic wrap on these until they germinate. And then once they germinate, the plastic wrap comes off, and they will probably stay on the heat mat actually on these. If I have the room, I'll just leave them on the heat mat, at least until the temperature outside warms up. Okay, I need to make some room. Let's see, Juncus Blue Arrows. That's germinated. Can't quite remember what temperature the Blue Arrows needs, but I'm gonna take them off the heat mat and hope for the best. I hate when there's uneven, but look at this tiny little grass. I love it. I love seeing these tiny grasses. This is Juncus Blue Arrows. This is a Carex Red Rooster. They look the same, but on the surface they look different. And then this one is the other grass I'm growing, Phoenix Green. Love it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's it. I did do a eucalyptus video, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. Can you see them? Look at all my little baby eucalyptus. There's the baby eucalyptus. Now, if you remember, I actually filled up the whole thing, and only these are actually filled with seeds. So there's Silver Dollar. What was the other? Silver Dollar, Baby Blue, Bouquet, and Silver Drop Eucalyptus. Love it. This is my favorite part. Okay guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks.